Hello math learners, so for today's video we are going to proceed in sampling distribution. So now we are going to proceed in statistics and probability. No? Yan na yun. So first, let us define first what is sampling. When we say sampling, the process of choosing a sample. So later on we will discuss what the sample define. So we need to recall, in this lesson, we need to recall formulating mini statistical research. Next one. So the mean and variance ay magagamit din natin ito. Karaniwan ito ay actually sa lesson 5 pa sa part 2 ng ating video dito sa statistics and probability. Yan, more on, yan ay na-discuss ko na po. Kung sa mga baguhan pa sa channel ko ay na-discuss ko na po ito. Okay, sa mga nakapanood na, ito yung yung ngayon ay nire-recap natin. Yan, finding the variance and the mean, the variance, the variance and the standard deviation. Okay, ayan. Next one, the normal distribution. Yan yung may z-table saka z-scores. Ayan. Ito, ayan yung mga ganyan. Ito yung mga ganito. Ito, mga ganyan. Now, let us proceed. So, in this video, we are only discuss first the sampling techniques, and then the next part of my video is about the sampling distribution itself. Sampling and sampling distribution, every researcher needs a participants or respondents. Nga naman, kung as a researcher, can you do a research without any participant or respondents? Let's say the topic of your research, if you're going to interviews, let's say the title of your research is about the obese, it's talking about the obese persons. Can you do a research without interviewing the obese persons? How can you, let's say your research, you're asking to research the numbers of person who has diabetes. Do you think that you can do a research without interviewing the person who has a diabetic disease? Cannot, right? So that's why every researcher needs a participant or respondent. The group of people or the groups of people, objects, or items used to as representatives to make inference about the population are called samples. How can you have a sample? So you can create a survey questionnaire, you can interview them verbally, and or any kinds or any methods of getting the sample or interview. Sample is an unbiased number of observations taken from the populations. Let us make an example such as the Philippine presidential elections. As an interviewer or survey assistant, you are going to interview all the persons. Let's say the coverage of your interviews is on all your barangay. You cannot interview only the BBM supporters or only the Lenny supporters, the East Coast supporters. Not only them, all of the people on your community. Even though you are a BBM supporter, you are a Lenny supporter, you still interview any person who has different candidate, who has a different candidate that they support. Okay, so from the word unbiased, diba? You should be unbiased. Now, first, what is a population? The entire group where samples are grown. The sample is the subset of populations. So, let's say, in your barangay, not all of your barangay can be able to interview. Let's say, in voting the presidential elections, whole the Philippines, not all of people in the Philippines can be able to vote. Not all the people on their community can able to vote. Right? So, note that the size of the sample is always less than the total size of the populations. like what I've said, not all the people can be able to interview. Let's say, if you're going to interview a person that who has a immunodeficiency, uh, immunovirus or HIV, do you think that the person who has HIV can be easily able to be interviewed? Not, because that is a sensitive case, right? Especially in Philippine elections, especially when they know that you are BBM supporter, they can bash you. If you are Lenin supporter, you can also bash you. So not all of them can be able to interview who is their presidential bet, or who are their bet, who's the presidentiables they support, because they hate to be involved in the riot regarding to the elections. So let us use this as an example. This is the source. If you want to, baka sabihin nyo bias ako eh. So ngayon, based on my research in Google Chrome, Presidential Election Survey, did you see the survey period March 30 to April 4? So this is not the present days. So 57% who are favor that Marcos to become 17th president of the Philippines. 23% of the people says that Leni Robredo deserves a presidency. 9% says Isko, 4% Ping Lacson, and 2% that they said Pacquiao. Then 5% of them are undecided. Undecided, in other terms, that they are unable to say who is their presidential best because of bashing of the other supporters. You know what I mean. You know what I mean, right? So, going back, so let us discuss the sampling techniques. So, number 1, simple random sampling. When we say simple random sampling, it is a simple random sampling is a type of probability sampling in which the researcher randomly selects a subset of participants from a population. Each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. Data is then collected from as large a percentage as possible of this random subset. So, simple random sampling, from the word random, you can choose anyone you want. But still, you can be unbiased. Don't be biased when it comes to surveys. Now, formula, Sobin's formula. So, what is the small n stands for? The number of samples needed. The n, the large N or the capital N stands as the number of populations. E stands as the margin of error. So the opposite of margin of error is the level of confidence. So later on we can determine that. In your study, the size of your population is 10,000. What is the size of your sample if you allow 2% of margin of error? So what is the level of the confidence if the 2% of margin of error? So 100 minus 2 is 98%. So 98% is your level of confidence. Ganun lang po ang paghahanap na level of confidence. Now, using above caption formula, the sample size could be computed as follows. So first, we can determine the given. So where n, the large N, is equal to 10,000, then the margin of error is 0.02. If you're going to convert a percentage into decimal, make it as hundreds place. So this is your formula. So then now substitute. 10,000 all over 1 plus 10,000 times 0.02 quantity squared. So now ito na square na natin. We have 0.0004 and we have 10,000 times 0.0004 is 4. Then 10,000 all over 1 plus 4 is 5. 10,000 all over 5. So divide. So your samples needed is 2,000. So in the 10,000, in that particular size of population is 10,000. So you can only need 2,000 if the 2%, if your margin of error is 2%, or if your level of confidence is 98%. Okay, your representative sample size is 2,000 out of 10,000. Systematic sampling. Systematic sampling is a type of probability sampling method in which sample members from a larger population are selected according to a random starting point but with a fixed periodic interval. So meron siyang system na siya. Hindi lang kayo basta-basta pipili kayo ng unlike the simple random sampling. Okay? Sorry. So this interval called the sampling interval is calculated by dividing the population size by the desired sample size. Let us see. This is it. Where n is the population, then the smaller n is sample. Let us see. So 800 math students take a systematic sample size of 24, starting with 5 students. So what is it? N stands as the 800 and the smaller n is 24. The sample is 24, then the population is 800 rather. 800 divided by 24 is 33.33. So if you're going to estimate to because it's talking about the number of students, the persons. So estimated to the nearest one. So ito na yun. So every terms after 5 is added to the value of k, such as 33. So in this, parang it is already called the arithmetic sequence. It has a sequence, a number of students, the math students. So in this case, di ba, nakita nyo na, find the value of 24. Para siyang arithmetic sequence. So the common difference is 33. Then the number of sample is 24. So a sub 1 is 5. N stands as the sample, such as 24. Then the common difference is 33. So ayan, here's the solutions. 824 is equal to 764. Okay. Stratified sampling. So stratified random sampling is a method of sampling that involves dividing a population into smaller groups called strata. The groups or strata are organized based on the shared characteristics or attributes of the members in the group. The process of classifying the population into groups is called stratification. What is it? So the formula to be used, small s is equal to large S all over large N times small n. This is stands as a stratified random sampling. Number of population per strata, number of entire populations, and sample populations. Applying the formula for analyzing the table below, so as you can see the population, it has total of 6,000 and the sample of 200. How do we get this? In using, so each grade level, so grade 7, ang total population na buong eskwelahan, total population is 6,000. And grade 7 is 1,200. So 1,200 divided by 6,000. So kung ano yung quotient doon, so such as 0.2 times 200 is 40. So the sample needed is 40 in grade 7. Grade 8, ganun lang din. Divide nyo 1,100 divided by 6,000. Then the quotient of it, multiply 200, that is 37 at the rest. As to check if they are equal, if your computation is correct, you are going to add all of this and make sure the sum is 200 itself. Okay. Last one is cluster sampling. It's sometimes referred to as area sampling and applied on a geographical basis. Generally, first sampling is performed at higher levels before going down to lower levels. For example, samples are taken randomly from provinces first, followed by cities, municipalities or barangay, and then from households. Let's say in presidential elections, from the area of Luzon and from the regions, then followed. Sige, gawa tayo ng example. So for example, the first, as a surveyor, from the area of Luzon, so followed by regions, followed by provinces, followed by municipalities and barangay. Ganun po ang cluster sampling. You need to determine the locations of what have you in for who are you going to interview. Okay? Now, you also need to recall combination without replacement, and it reads as the combination of n taken n at a time. Combination of, sige, ito naman, since ito yung population, ito yung sample, it reads combination of population taken sample at a time without replacement. Next one, it reads as combination of population, this is permutation of n taken n at a time. This is supposed to be permutation. Now, properties of, so this will be discussed, this lesson will be discussed rather in my next video.